Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. Brought to you live from Silicon Valley, California. Please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
Yeah. I need to make that my ringtone in the morning when my alarm goes off. It's right where Brian Sparks, get up! It's Brian Sparks.
Better than that, maybe I'll just come over to your house every morning and
with the bullhorn.
Before you're awake, I'll just hover over your bed and be like, "Ladies and gentlemen."
It's 3:30, Brian. What are you doing here?
I've been here for hours, Brian.
I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own.
Oh, wow. You kind of changed it up a little bit.
Did I change
your own?
The cadence?
You just changed a word. It's in your own.
In your own.
Yeah. But within, that's fine. You know, everybody gets it. Everybody's on the same page with you, Brian.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Hey, we got some stuff to talk about before we get started. We've got, really great people here, and I'm eager to get started, but we have a couple of things that we got some housekeeping to do.
Yeah.
So go for it.
All right. So I'm super excited. You and I are going to be in San Francisco July 11th through the 13th.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
4. We're not just crossing the bridge.
We're just going for lunch.
Yeah, for the Opal event, which is coming to the Bay Area. And so if you are interested, go to, Opal event.
Oh, yeah. We should have Cynthia actually do the announcement.
Opal.
I love the pause.
Feel it.
No, that's going to be a lot of fun, Brian. I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be doing a show up there in San Francisco at the Opal event, right?
Yeah, so we'll be bringing in some of their speakers that are high net worth individuals that have done some great things, and they're going to be giving their insight on how they've done what they've done and why they love what they do. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're interested, you can go to opal.org. I believe it is, and check out that event and other events that they're doing throughout the world. Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, June 9th in Oakland, California at Stack Ventures. We're at 1900 Broadway. We'll be doing a lunch launch there, our new series on the 39th floor. It's going to be spectacular. You can check out that information in our show notes.
Oh, this is in Oakland?
This is in Oakland.
Oh, great. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Lunch launch.
Yeah, lunch launch. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
And is there some place that we sign up for that, or get? Is it a ticketed event, or how do we get our names on
those list? Brian, I'm glad you asked that. For those listening, you can use promo code Venture Partner VIP, I believe that is, or DM me to get that code. The link will be in the show notes. Hit that, get the promo code from me, and I'm happy to give you a ticket.
Excellent.
So there you go.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. What about you, Brian? What's top of mind for you?
Oh, I think we've gone on long enough. I don't have anything. I came in with nothing. All I came in to do was serve you, Brian. Yeah. So I just want to play my role as as a servant to the show and to our audience, our esteemed audience.
Thank you. All right. Well,
yeah.
Let's bring in the stars of the show. All right. We've got 3 great guests today. The energy was off the charts before we went live, so we're going to recreate that now. We'll work from my right to my left, but we got, again, 3 individuals. And Sarah, good to see you. Cynthia, VJ in the house. Let's get right into it. So Sarah, give a little quick introduction about who you are and what you're up to.
Thank you for having me. I think a few items I would like to share about myself are the most defining items, like in not any specific order.
Yeah, let it rip.
One of them I find myself very peculiar is I have about 5 different engineering degrees in electrical, mechanical, bio, nano, software. And finally, with the help of ChatGPT, I could make sense of my life. And it says, it's because you bring things in complex system order. And that's it's just the best definition of myself I ever heard. That I can only understand the world in a whole, not in a silo. And I have been doing all these different engineering fields. I have had a very global lifestyle, so that also adds to it. Again, I can't like understand the world through eyes of one culture. And I just love it. I love engineering. I have been very engaged in generative AI movement, trying very hard to understand it. I've been hosting events last year called Future of the World Post Generative AI, helping people, inviting super technical experts to talk in a very simple term. What is it all about? What is hitting us? What is happening to the world?
And you gave a talk last week. We were all there. And at the, what was it? The
Transatlantic event hosted by GABA.
Yeah. And very good talk, by the way. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but glad you're here. You have other interesting factors about your...
Well, I think the next one is what I'm working on, the PodYar project, which is in essence creating a vault of first-hand human knowledge, experience, expertise, and stories, and protecting it from contamination by generative AI or AI-generated content, which today in the real world is really hard. We can't differentiate what is written or published by human versus AI.
And you called that, what was, get it
Just
one more
the
time?
vault of human first-hand knowledge.
And the project, or what would you call it?
So PodYar, PodYar, and pod comes from the pod of a being that keeps the essence and the valuable thing, the seed. And yar actually in Persian means the friend, the companion. So the companion.
YR is yar.
Y-A-R.
Y-A-R,
Yes,
okay.
PodYar.
All right, so we're gonna geek out on that in a little bit.
I'm already geeking out on that. Quite honestly. I'm like ready to roll. Like, what is it? Tell me.
6 degrees, and then we're not talking about separation, but actual studies here, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, around this.
No, we got a real. Obviously Sarah's very smart, and we're eager to learn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll dive into that. Cynthia, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, and you've got that Sunday night slow jam voice. Yeah.
She definitely has the voice, right?
So tell us a little bit about what you're working on. You have a startup, and why you love doing what you're doing.
I think at its core, I've always loved helping businesses solve problems. And one of the largest problems that we face globally is, what do we do with labor? How do we compensate it appropriately? How do we get the maximum value out of it? And what do those models look like? And so at WellPay, my company, we
.ai.
.ai, that's right. Not the other WellPay.
Yeah.
That's a healthcare billing company. Founder Life tried to buy that website, was real close. Then they researched as a business and said no. I've learned that that's just part of Founder Life, and you just keep going on.
Yeah.
But I work with businesses to help them really define and align what those pay strategies should be. And we use artificial intelligence to really help optimize. I know it sounds very benign, right? Almost like actuary, right? Like, who wants to sit around and talk about how people are paid? Right? But it can be a very laborious and long process. And so when you start talking to organizations and saying, listen, I can come in and do this in 45 days, it becomes an interesting conversation, because historically it's been just a very long and drawn out process. Interesting things about me, though, in my mind, I'm a stellar athlete. In my mind.
That's been my struggle my whole life. Yeah.
We had this conversation before the show. You're the Steph Curry of everything in your mind.
In my mind.
That's
in
amazing.
My mind.
I love that.
And I get on the treadmill and I'm like, all right, here we go. And 30 minutes in, I'm like, why did I think I could do more than this?
Yeah, well, 30 minutes. I don't think anyone's shaking their head at that one. That's pretty good, actually. So, and I'm really curious, and of course, I'm sure you'll unpack this story for us as we move along, but how you got into this, and you've bootstrapped this entire venture, which is a unique. I mean, it's done a lot, but most people are saying, I need money, and they're spending a lot of time fundraising. But you found a way to launch this with your own resources, and so we'll take a look at how you've done that. But glad you're here.
Thank you.
And I gotta try to keep myself from competing with your cool voice. So I'll let you on.
You're doing great, Brian.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, we love you. You're all right.
Let her win.
I love it. My validation. All right, VJ, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you as well.
Give a little
Thank
insight
you.
about who you are and what you're working on.
Yeah. You know, every time people ask me to introduce myself, I go through a mini identity crisis. So today, the way I want to introduce myself, which is, I think, the most appropriate So I've had an aha moment just while listening to your introductions. Well, first, this is the first time I'm in a room where I have 4 less engineering degrees than someone else. That's a crisis of its own. But I, after working in the engineering field, I worked in the defense world, got to work on all of the coolest cutting edge technologies that have now become very ubiquitous around the world. I realized everything I did was killing people. And so I went, dug deep within and went the route of entrepreneurship. And I think I became a serial entrepreneur because ultimately I just was on a spiritual journey. And the best way you could have the most spiritual, the most fulfilling life on this planet is by being a serial entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. And I just went down that path. I started 4 companies. 2 of them have had successful exits. Nothing too big to write home about, but decent. And then I became a startup coach here in the Bay Area. Learned a lot from lots of amazing founders. And now I invest in startups through a very early stage small VC fund called Wild Tree Ventures.
Nice. And so with all of that, you go from immersing yourself in the world of engineer, and Sarah, you're going to relate to this probably, just immersing yourself in all this technology that's, come out over the last couple decades, to startup where it's not so predictable at times and you're probably really comfortable with the things that you can predict. You get both sides of the brain, right? And then you now are on the search for some of the best startups.
Yeah.
And you were talking today that you're somebody who likes to capture your thoughts and reflect on them. So reflecting on that entire journey of what requires a different part of your brain from a high level, what do you think is one of the top of mind things you've learned from the different perspectives that you've chosen?
Oh gosh, that's such
that's not a softball question.
Right off the bat, you just went straight.
Let's get into it.
Good stuff.
No.
Well,
and I can leave you with that for a little while to think about that.
Lots of times, Sarah, I would love for you to chime on this as well, but lots of times people think engineering is all about precision and math is all about precision. But the day I got a feeling of math and I was okay looking at math in terms of probabilities instead of like accurate numbers, I felt a lot more creative and comfortable with it. And I think my journey has been about managing uncertainty, being okay with the uncertainty, embracing uncertainty, and then finding opportunities for creativity within uncertainty. And I think all the things I've chosen in life I need it to be a little uncertain, and I need the freedom to be creative in it.
I like what you say. I mean, for me, the definition of science is understanding how the world works. What are the fundamental rules of the world, and engineering is knowing those. How could you solve problems? It's all about problem solving. And I think the reason I was so interested in engineering growing up, all the time, my mom used to say, Sarah always has a solution for everything. It was just very creatively, people tell me you think out of the box, and I'm like, which box? Did I miss the box? Like, where's the box? So it's kind of partially because of ADHD. That's ADHD mind doesn't see the box. Everything is connected. And that's also why I have all these engineering degrees, because I really need to understand. I started from bio and electrical, but I was fascinated by mechanical engineering. And then nano engineering is like, mechanical engineering usually top down, and nano engineering is bottom up when you build a system. And software engineering is like the glue that connects all of them together.
Sarah, there are 6 billion people out there, or 8 billion people out there, who have been told you got to think out of the box. And the best way to do that is when you don't even see the box.
Well,
like, why put yourself in the box and then try to get out of it? And
I wish I
don't
could
have that
claim
problem.
credit for it. It's just how my brain operates.
That's awesome.
But it's also hard. I mean, to be a little vulnerable here. Sometimes, you don't fit.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge, And
can I go deep on that one? Okay, vulnerability. Okay, so I heard 2 things from both of you. The power of looking at things from multiple perspectives. And when you're constantly looking things from different perspectives and absorbing it, and at the same time trying to manage risk, there is this element of vulnerability.
Yes.
And I really think that's a strength when it comes to creativity, because you can see the certainty with the engineering that you're talking about, the perspectives that you're taking on. But then there's this other side that like allows you to build upon it.
Yep.
Rather than be in, like, if you would have saw yourself in the box or believed in the box, you wouldn't be able to create, because you would just have these parameters already on you. And you're like, no, what box are you talking about? I'm just here to create. So I love this. It goes so deep.
So I think me, like probably almost all of the people in this room, based on accomplishment, we are driven by curiosity, right? It's not, and then you could call it, what is it called? Growth mindset. I'm like, what is growth mindset? Or some people like not excited to learn and change, like, so a lot of things doesn't make sense. And the opposite side, a lot of things I had to work really, really hard to fit in. For example, time management and trying to finish projects. The last 5% like literally kills me, right? And also some emotional processing that I had to really figure out, because there's high sensitivity to emotion and perception. And how are you going to manage all this and balance and then come out of the other side with success and focus on what you want? So it wasn't always like glorious and beautiful, but I wouldn't change my life journey for anything,
Okay, so I definitely want to drop this same question in your lap, Cynthia, as you're talking about building the company. But before we go there, I want to run up with, you did some time as head of product strategy. Was that?
So it was global lead of product excellence at Google.
And so you had to see the life cycle of building a company, building a product and launching a product. It's almost like I brought you to tears, like, oh no, dear God.
Well, the funny part of that story is I really wanted to learn product. I was working in LA at Cornerstone On Demand. It's a really, really cool company. One day I worked in the office of the head of HR and said, I'm really interested in product. I want to move. And then she looked at me and was like, this is an amazing company. We have really good culture. You're too smart. Don't waste your time here. If you want to learn product, go to Google or somewhere else. And I'm like, okay. So I moved to New York. I started at Google. I got this offer from Google and Amazon in the same week, but I wanted to live in New York. So, and Amazon was in Seattle. So I chose Google. As like, oh, Amazon is extraordinary product. Google is extraordinary. I love it. So start at Google. And I land at Google and try to understand how the products are built. And I have a team of about 40 engineers, and some of them are very, very experienced, some of them very junior. I'm like, it's perfect. And, experienced engineers going to explain and teach the juniors. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to figure out how to optimize for a team. And I asked them, how do you build product? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what are the processes? What are the product development lifecycle? How do you start building a product? And they're like, I'm like, how do you build a product? Like, how? And he's like, we start coding. I'm like, oh my God. I go talk to the director who hired me, and I'm like, this team is like probably, fill in the blank est team at Google. Like, they have no idea what they're doing. And the director says, oh, Sarah, this is Google. We don't want to kill productivity. We don't want to kill creativity. So we'll let people figure it out how they want to do it. And I'm like, so you have no methodology? And they're like, no, like, just go figure it out, whatever is best for your team. And it's like, I couldn't. And then me being me, very tenacious to a fault and not always a good thing, I kept talking to different people, different directors and VPs. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I came to Google to learn how amazing teams build amazing products at Google. And what I learned is, for every successful product at Google, more than hundreds are just, it's like throw the shit to wall and see what sticks. Like, there's no methodology. It's just draw of luck in a specific term of, if you have a team that has a very experienced engineer and product manager and like maybe a UX person, they can create a good product, but otherwise, it's just deprecated. That we have all seen that at Google. So anyhow, I escalated to the point that I talked to the head of the New York office, who happened to be Google CIO. And he's like, you're right, Sarah. Everything you say right is on top of my mind. You seem very passionate. If you're interested, take it and run with it. And that's when I had to create my own job at Google and work on this. And within a year, product excellence was one of top 5 OKRs at Google. And the rest is history.
Wow. So you really had to become this entrepreneur in order to fix this pain point. So, I mean, sure, there was a need for creativity. Sure, there was a need for productivity. But you had to see how all the dots connected and create a system so that it was you were able to replicate it?
When I received that offer, I had to think about it, and I'm like, okay, among any other tech company, definitely Google engineers have suffered from this superior God complex. But for me to help them understand what are the best practices, extract it and like propagate it is going to be a tough challenge. But I'm like, okay, heck with it. If I can fix it at Google, I can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
So yes, we had to study very deeply like how successful products are built and how can we scale that.
I love it. And so this is perfect. So two things for you, Cynthia, now. Sarah set you up. So we're talking about the capacity to see things from multiple perspectives. I'm curious, why this industry for you when it comes to HR, you had to look at the world now from multiple perspectives, the user, the pain point, the company, and then now to build this product, much like Sarah's talking about, you had to start putting pieces together. Give us that journey, and from a founder's perspective. I mean, we're hearing it from corporate perspective. What was that like for you? Because the reason why I'm asking this question, our audience, there's a lot of potential founders, and they're waiting for some sort of insight, some sort of resource, for the time to be right, whatever it may be. But give us that journey that really kind of helped you make that leap from where you are before your startup to now.
That's a lot.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I couldn't repeat it.
I understand. It's okay. Well, I think for me, what led me to starting WellPay was actually the nudge from my better half. We were on a trip in Japan, and we were walking to a temple in Tokyo, and it's supposed to only be a mile walk, but I swear it's like 7 miles in the heat. And I had scaled I would think a relatively decent and successful career in corporate America, and had led teams that design and align rewards and pay, and had been a senior leader in HR. And my husband said to me, he said, I really think you should try to have your own business. I was like, there's like 11 consultants in the world. Like
50,
11 and 1 consultants in the world. It's a Southern phrase.
Okay.
And like
you all knew that already. I was the only one in the room who didn't know that.
What would my unique offering be? And being the really smart man that he is, he said, well, I think the unique offering is you, and I'll help you build whatever technology you need. So together we have built this really, incredible company. But I think that the genesis of WellPay was asking the question of, how do we get this right? So many organizations get it so wrong. How do we get it right?
And really quick for our audience, really quickly highlight, what is that pain point that you're solving, and what did you need to get right?
The pain point we're solving is massive amounts of data that are coming into the HR vortex. And the get right is, how do we make decisions? What's the right data point to use? And how do we quickly get to an answer? We don't have 9 months. We don't have 6. How do we get to this answer? Because picking the right data and then getting to that right answer, and the right answer, say air quote, can have different connotations to different things. The right answer could be the timeliness for which you can connect with that leader to establish your credibility. The right answer can be helping that leader understand their decision or not. But there's so much time delay and data fatigue in the HR space that it just bottlenecks teams and leaders.
So this is not just about the compensation. It's beyond that.
It is beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what can I have an example of what type of problems you solve? Because it sounds really interesting. I love to understand it better.
So from my lens, human resources teams and CHROs inherit 2 types of debt. They inherit physical debt, and that the information they need to do their jobs is 16,000 different places and in a variety of different formats. And then the debt of expectation. No team in the organization is expected to do more with less and perform more miracles broadly across the organization than human resources. So we have massive expectation and, massive debt. And so I looked up and said, okay, I think with technology, we can solve this debt to decision ratio. And that it can't just be any technology, right? I mean, we've all been using Excel for 40 years, right? Like there's technology in the world. This has to be the right technology. And so what we did was we built alongside our customers. We would say, hey, we'll come in and do this for you. What does ideal look like for you? What do you need it to be? Tell me the problems you're trying to solve. So WellPay is a multiple iteration of building alongside the client. We didn't want to have this product that we built and we're trying to force, here's a cup, I'm going to force you into the cup. We said, talk to us, tell us. And so now when I go to clients, I'll say, are you facing more of something of problem A or problem B? And they'll say, oh yeah, it sounds like problem B. And I'll say, okay, so here's how I think we could solve it with our technology. Here's what that outcome could look like. How's that sound to you? And they'll say, yeah, that right there. Working with different companies and designing for them, I could see patterns in the problem, that there's some uniqueness for every business, but then there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah. So I got two questions. One, I promised our audience we give them some good insight about bootstrapping, because I think that's,
Of course. Yeah.
I think too many people are quick to raise when they could be bootstrapping.
Yeah.
I'll often say, and I actually am stealing this from Alicia Casillo, who was in here a few weeks ago, if you were to not be given the money you need, but a magic wand to have what you needed, what would it be? And you've figured that out. You've figured out how to go after that without having to raise. So I want to know that, number one. But number two, how are you managing your marketing to educate the market on what you're doing if it's so curated?
Yeah.
So two-part questions, and then VJ, I want you to kind of chime in from the investor's perspective in terms of fundability, because when you listen to companies pitch, they got to know very quickly, what problem you're solving, and what is your market, who is your market, and of course knowing that market. So fundability is key. So anyway, two questions.
Yeah. So as far as how I went about bootstrapping, I focus on how can I solve your problem. I don't get caught up in the number that maybe you have set aside for your budget. And I'll say to you, listen, we'll find a way to make it work. Just tell me what we're trying to do. Just talk to me. Because typically, if we can have a conversation, we're most likely going to work together. You feel a sense of comfort. We end up liking each other. And you say, okay, here's what I can do. And I'll say, okay, with that, here's what I can do. Right? Maybe we solve a portion of your problem. I think part of and I'm learning this, first time founder. I had a lemonade stand when I was 10, but I don't think
That's a great business.
I don't think, right?
That was a franchise more than fun.
Yeah, it was. I think part of it is, I'm very mindful of scope creep. So, you were talking, Sarah, about, detriments. I'm very forthcoming, sometimes to a fault, and we'll say, all right, so here's what we can do. I don't overcommit, because that just leads to a detriment of a relationship. So that, I think, has been a benefit in our bootstrap journey, is in saying, okay, here's what we can do. And, I'll also talk to everybody, because you never know, like in your mind, you're like, oh, it's going to be a straight line, right? Because you've made all of these first level connections your whole career, and everybody wanted to connect with you when you were at XYZ company and ABC and all these things. And it's not going to be as direct and linear as you had thought it would be in your mind. So it's a lot of conversing with everybody to get to the end result. On the bootstrap side.
I love it. And so, VJ, if you're to follow on later as this company starts to scale, and again, I'm piecing together what Cynthia's sharing and kind of imagining what our audience would be considering. Is there a lot of great companies that have bootstrapped, and then they look to scale, and then they're looking for another round? If I were to come to you, I've bootstrapped early stage, and now I'm looking to scale. What would be some things that you are looking for that would be fundable for a company looking to scale? Another tough question. I told you I was going to go light, but apparently I'm backing off that.
Well, yeah. Let me get to answering that. But there's a few things that you said that I'd like to jump on, and it will lead into what you asked. So, lots of times, founders come, or even let's take 2 steps back. When I was a founder, I pitched to lots of VCs, and consistently I got this answer that you're just too early for us. And I'm like, well, you say you're an angel investor, you invest in early stage, and that's what you're saying, and here I am, and what does that really mean? And I ask lots of founders, and they consistently get this answer when they go fundraising: you're too early for us. And there's 2 things I've realized. One is sometimes VCs don't like confrontation, and sometimes it's really tough for them to even dig in deeper into their own mind to even figure out what they don't feel that's right in this very moment with this particular startup. And so to avoid that conversation, they can just say, you're just too early. But lots of times that is the right appropriate feedback, and it could be for 2 reasons. One is, it's okay being pre-product, it's okay being pre-revenue, but you can't be pre-business plan, right? And to put together a really nice business strategy at this stage, or essentially your go-to-market strategy, because the way I look at go-to-market strategy is it's the roadmap towards product market fit. So product market fit is the peak of the summit, and go-to-market strategy is how do I get to base camp? How do I go there? What do I need next, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And so, so lots of times founders have a lot more they could do without money. And so the answer is continue figuring it out and come back to us. And then you'll be ready for money. Now, there's lots of times founders bootstrap. We love that because that's the right way to build business, right? Is to figure out what you can do with less. Less is more, right? And back to what you said about Google. See, big corporations don't need go-to-market strategy, or they've defined what go-to-market strategy really means, but they've defined it wrong. And so the whole world has misinterpreted GTM strategy, in my opinion. And the way they even teach it in school, it looks like product launch. And the Googles of the world have the luxury to come up with any product and blast the market, the radio waves, and market the heck out of it and hope it sticks. Right? I mean, maybe not Google, but corporations in general.
Actually, if I may jump in. So the problem with companies like Google is they have many products with more than 1 billion users. And what happens, for example, my favorite example of Google launch was Google Photos, that within several months it reached 1 billion active users. That was fastest adoption in history of universe, right? Mm-hmm. But then, yes, partially because everybody who had Android, everybody had a Gmail account, had automatically access is one part of the equation, but the other side is people were actively using it because it was magical. And that was actually one of the case studies we looked very, very deeply into understand how they built this excellent, extraordinary, successful product. But to your point, you have right. Like, it's very, very, I would never discuss go-to-market strategy with somebody who worked for a big corporation if I'm a startup. Like, ask for advice. It's just they're completely 2 different worlds.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a quick little break and hear from our sponsors, Google, in a minute. But Brian, I think when we come back, we're going to talk a little. And no, we're not going to hear from Google. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk a little bit more about go-to-market. We're going to talk a little bit about PodYar. I want to hear about what you're building there, and what's next for Cynthia and WellPay.ai.
I have no idea what that noise is. Forgive me.
Actually, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was.
That was a special commercial.
Yeah. We're going to go to break.
Yeah. Aliens invaded.
Yeah, right.
All right, we're back. We have VJ, Cynthia, and Sarah joining us today. What I love about the break is when our guards come down, we get vulnerable and we start bouncing and the energy comes up. So the challenge is recapturing that. And one thing that I was thinking about as we were at break is, VJ, you had a good time at Foothill last week. We had a chance to go talk to the young entrepreneurs there. You got a chance to engage, and you actually made a pretty cool connection there. But
Yeah,
what happened with that?
So I really appreciated you inviting me to your speaking engagement and let me take some of the airwaves there. So you and I, we both talked about entrepreneurship and VC and how you communicate your idea in a manner that it could be fundable or increase the probability of funding. And one individual came up to me after, and this kid has had a great journey. He was in a really great school and had the courage to say, this journey is not right for me, or this path is not right for me. So I'm going to take a step back or take a side step, recalculate, and then get back to it. And he came up to me and he was interested in VC, asked me lots of great questions. And we're hiring some interns at our VC fund. And I said, look, we're hiring, but you'll have to start like immediately. Is this something you'd like to do? And, we jumped on a call and I told him all the things about VC that behind the scenes that are really, it's tough, long hours and lots of grind. And he was just people talk about these Gen Z. And
you made a decision on the moment where you said, I want this kid, I want to say kid, but young adult to come on board.
Honestly, I did make the decision right there, but I didn't tell him that, and I still made him go through a bunch of interviews, but mostly not because I wanted to test his skill sets, even though I did that.
Well, I was going to say, is he listening to the show and finding that out right now?
No, but I think what people like that do, it's not someone who, because people come up to you all the time. I mean, Sarah, you and I speak a lot, and people will come up to you right after your show and they'll want to get to know you, and then they'll start to sell you something, and then they want something from you. Or if you have a name tag on that says investor, they want something from you. But when someone comes along with a kind curiosity, it sets them apart.
Absolutely.
It's like, I'm just interested in who you are, and I have a genuine question about learning more about you, and it just kind of organically unfolds in this very kind manner. It sets people apart. They're not these, for lack of a better terms, they're just not trying to chew on you. They're not trying to chew on you.
Viewing the world as like every single interaction on this planet is a transaction.
Yeah.
But it could be happenstance. It could be there's synchronicity in the universe, where the reason why I showed up there in the right room at the right time, which is that rarely happens for me, and I met this kid, and he didn't even come up to me the first time. I went back in there because everyone had left the room. I went back in there, and that's when we started the conversation. So if I hadn't gone back in there because I think I forgot my phone or something, we wouldn't have met. And I think the universe is always full of these mini interactions that are happening all the time, but we're so busy as humans trying to make every single interaction a transaction that we offend everyone around us and ourselves and the universe all the time. This kid did not. And I'm really excited to bring him on board. But the reason why I interviewed him was just to make sure he knows what he's getting into, because I don't want people to make bad decisions so early in their career and then waste a whole summer where, could be
I don't
doing
believe
so many
any experience is waste. Like sometimes the most random, unrelated things I have done saved my ass, like in a position that I'm in a room of expert and they have never done this, and I'm like, oh, actually, you know what, in this obscure whatever. So
I just didn't.
Never unuseful in my opinion.
Yeah,
and you're such a gracious,
fair.
kind person. I'm sure he's going to learn so much, even if he never looks back at VC. He's going to learn a ton.
Well, Sarah, what you're saying now is now we're getting deeper into this idea of when your heart is always open and you're aligned, those opportunities become more and more, right? And it seemed like just that you were leaving and then you came back. He was just hanging out and you met. The default was just you guys were open to the moment. Yeah, it's like you had this happenstance moment. Anyway, without going down that rabbit hole, I definitely want to bring this back down to some ground level. But we probably end up going there because all three of us or all four of us are kind of aligned like that. But Sarah, I wanted to ask you really quick about PodYar. Brian, what are you doing? You're looking at me like I blew.
All four of us. I'm counting the people in the room, and I'm wondering where everybody is exactly.
I'm coming to
I'm just wondering how there's four of us here.
Three. I
know there's some people with mechanical engineering degrees. Maybe they can count and explain physics to me.
Yes, like he meant 3 guests. And then he corrected himself.
And then he included himself.
4 wonderful friends of mine. He didn't count himself. Did I save you?
Sarah, that's exactly. You're such an empathetic person. That's exactly what I meant. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I took it the complete opposite way. I don't have an engineering degree. I felt very excluded.
Yeah. Right.
God.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay.
Oh God.
All right, and my blushing head is lighting up the studio right
What
now.
have we learned from this, right?
Brian can't count. That's why we had the Witham guys in here last week with accounting. All right.
Yeah, I'm just over here. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Just keep running things.
You
make
saw
sure
that.
everything goes
I
smoothly.
didn't count myself. Yeah, you saw. All right. So, PodYar.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about.
Okay,
what you're-
I'm actually going to answer your question with a question from all 4 of you. Like, I'm not going to count myself. I know the answer. Is, everybody in this room, you have decades of experience, a lot of life experiences, the stories, expertise, and, a lot of things you have learned, the wisdom. So the question is, what percentage of that do you believe you have documented and shared? Every one of you.
It's less than 1%. It's if it's even.
Same. And I have some thoughts on this though too.
Okay, I'd love to hear them. And you, dear Brian.
I actually document a lot of what I do, on especially on video. Like there's a lot. I mean, but again, at break we said, you said we should be writing this down, and not nearly enough. Yep. I will also say, just for the record, I think it's getting harder and harder to find the motivation to want to document anything that we think or know, because there's so much noise in the world, and it's and I feel like my voice, and maybe this is partly imposter syndrome, but finding signal in this world is difficult, and I don't know that
Let me change your perspective. You actually answered the follow-up question I wanted to ask, and it's why? Why don't we share? Why don't we document more and share more? Any just throw out the answer why.
Time is one of them.
Time is always number one.
Yep.
What's it for? I guess. What's
Purpose.
So belief and purpose.
Yeah.
And I think when it's happening in the moment, you don't realize how impactful this could be in the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
You can only understand that
Yeah.
looking back. So you're not documenting it then, and then it's been too late, too long.
Very true. And another answer very often I hear is like, I don't know how to structure it. Like, where do I start? Like myself, I probably have equivalent amount of a book written articles. So like say I published that I have like 95% of it done. I just need to go through it and read through it and then do the final editing. Even with the help of ChatGPT, I'm very behind, and I don't publish them even if I have written down. So when you think about one of the biggest contributors to human civilization to come in place thousands of years ago was invention of writing, right? Because before that, all knowledge was explicit, tacit. And after the invention of writing, people could build on the shoulder of, previous people with a lot of expertise and understanding. But the sad news is if you compare where we are right now, the number of human beings, an amount of knowledge and expertise and wisdom created, the amount of loss compared to the time before even invention of writing, we are tens, if not hundreds or even thousands of orders of magnitude at a greater loss. And the sad truth is, if we don't document things we know and don't share it, we're literally taking it to the grave. Mm-hmm. And that's when I thought about it that way, and these are the rabbit holes my brain goes into. It was like a panic moment. It's just, what travesty that we don't do this. And the world is full of, the last decade or so, full of like these like fluff, useless junk content that if you want to one of my friends was saying that they actually invented an app that, for example, when you want to find a recipe, it goes and literally gives you the recipe, because all these recipe web pages, they have like 7 pages random shit, useless shit written and nobody reads, and the recipe's hidden somewhere at the bottom. Yeah. So the world is full of fluff. And then there are some estimates right now between 20 to 80% of all content generated annually is generated by AI.
Easy.
And the scary part is we have no way to differentiate. So at surface level, it's really shocking that, we are at a place that we can't say what has a human source and what is an AI. And to dive deeper of like, what is the problem with that is what I call epistemic drift. And I have written about that. And I usually share on
Say that
LinkedIn.
term again, please.
Yeah.
Epistemic drift. Epistemology is like when you connect a content or set something to who said it, why said it, like what the context, like kind of traceability of a source of, a material. And we are talking about knowledge here. And the epistemic drift is very simple. I've written this article, I call it Knowledge Integrity Crisis, right? And an AI model comes and reads it. And, and then VJ goes and has asked the AI that is trained on the model that read my article, ask what is, knowledge integrity crisis. Best case scenario that AI could create something like 95% accurate of what I meant to say. And there is some kind of content in between created, either misunderstood. How many times you have ChatGPT edit something for you. I keep saying ChatGPT, but I mean all generative AI models or LLMs or SLMs. And there's like a tiny little switch in context that you trace it and feel it's like, no, that's not quite what I said. It's correct, but not really. That's not what I said. So it's just inherent part. And there is actually a term for it called, even in human interaction, curse of knowledge. And simply said, that is what I'm thinking at this moment, what is in the back of my mind, and what I'm saying and choosing to communicate, and what you all hear are three different things.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because the
Goes
way
back
you
to
hear it is
perception.
like literally connected with your own context and previous experiences and how you process it. So what I'm saying here, and for all the audience, what they hear, if I have a conversation with them before, they might say something they thought I said, which I find absolutely amusing, is like even smarter than I wanted to say, but that's they thought what I said, right? And now imagine AI models, when they read to train, first of all, they would never know who said this because the way they understand, there is no referenceability. They just read that article. They don't even understand it or retain it in the form of paragraph or sentence or words. It's like token, and tokens are sub words. Like every word, some words are broken into several pieces of token. And after reading my article, it's just the statistical association between the tokens I've used has changed. So there is no context. There is no why these 5 words have a stronger statistical analysis. And the black magic happens when we ask about something in that, knowledge integrity crisis. It can go and pull like somewhat of what they learned from reading my article, but they don't know who wrote it, when wrote it, what was the context, none of that.
So do we think we're going to see AI get to the point where it can maintain perspective and perception congruently? So for example, we all have the perspective of having this conversation in this room right now. We all have different perceptions, but it seems like, and we could have a conversation about it, but it seems like that gets really loose with AI. And so it's kind of like perspective is the container, like this bottle. Perception is the content. And it sounds like that comes unraveled very quickly when it comes to AI. And then we lose the person, because I think when it comes to a person, perspective and perception matter.
Yes. And one last thing I want to add to it, why this epistemic drift is a crisis, is when we are actually right now at a place we can't really identify source of a lot of material, as I explained. And a really good example of it is if you go to Google Scholar right now and search for this word, vegetative electron microscopy, you will find about 35 journal published articles reference it. But the truth is this microscope doesn't exist. It is actually the scanning electron microscopy. And two separate incidents in about a decade apart created this term. And first one was when in about 20 years ago, we were digitizing all published papers, and they were published in 2 columns, traditional and vegetative, and electron microscopy were next to each other, and AI read it as one word. And 10 years later, it was translating from Persian to English. And the way the word for scanning electron microscopy is scanning, and vegetative in Persian, which is my native language, the difference is 1 dot. So the AI saw it and translated it again. Oh, vegetative electron microscopy exists, so this must be it. And then a mistake was enforced. And now we have more than 35 papers that some of them are a result of that translation, and some of them people just edited their article with AI, and AI strongly believed this word actually exists, and it could reference it to this translated article and everything else. So what is that term? Now imagine this at scale. This is a very, very big fall past that any scientist easily can identify, that something AI generated that doesn't exist, doesn't have any connection to anything. And now imagine going back to that example of my article. Let's say first generation, it reproduces 95% of what I meant. Second generation, another 95. After a few generation of, making synthetic data to train the next generation model, and then that next generation synthetic data to train next generation model, we're going to have an article about knowledge integrity crisis that maybe 70% of it is what I said. Then the question is, what is that 30%? It's just based on a statistical association between words, very well written, very well read. It does have a meaning, but what is it? It's just AI generated something that we can't differentiate between what actually was thought of a human being.
So to bring this full circle, your question to all of us, and I may be overly simplifying this, it was, how much of your life do you document? And then
connecting this to that vault of information of first-hand human knowledge.
Yeah.
So we need to create this vault, having one source of truth that anything in this is human, first-hand human knowledge, meaning humans have spoken to it, and protected from contamination by AI. It's not about truth. It's not about factuality. I'm sure it's going to be full of hatred and misogyny and racism and sexism, but in the fight and battle against AI-generated content and without context and human-generated, whatever it is, we need to document it and keep it safe. Because even at this day, the most hateful person for many people is you think Adolf Hitler. We need to document. We need to have his book to study that, what a hateful person think, and possibly how a hateful person is created. So it's not about judging what the content is, it's about the connection to the human lived experience. And we don't have this within a generation or two of these AI models training themselves on synthetic data and kind of injecting more and more random content. In 10 years, 20 years, what is knowledge?
You lose the person, you use the container, and if you lose the container, now you have this cocktail of something you didn't expect.
Or what is it? We can't even define it because it's just a statistical association between words. Yes, you can read it. It's beautifully written because that's what AI models are trained for. But what is the source of what is the
We're talking about AI, but this is so deep. And VJ, I know you had something on the tip of your tongue, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Sarah a question. So I guess you're concerned with losing the original human thought.
Yes, and then
because
also the future
layers
humans are trained on this material that we don't know which part of it is something random generated by AI and some actual human knowledge. In 10 years, 20 years, next generation children that are heavily using AI in education, what is their knowledge? That then I say it's a very deep philosophical question.
It's almost
what is knowledge?
It's almost like a high level game of telephone.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And now imagine that happens to every single piece of knowledge, human knowledge that has ever been generated, goes through this funnel and it's distorted. Then what is knowledge anymore? The books will be written, new textbook, new journal papers, new content, new everything.
So, in our human trajectory, right, our civilization, every single point, it's the winner who wrote the history.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And it's taken us millennia to try to decipher that and try to understand what reality was versus what the winner thought about it, right? And it happens all the time.
And now imagine
because that's the perspective they use is that of the winner.
And now imagine the person who writes the history is somebody who's just good at writing and has no context and nothing
does
of
it
anything.
At 1,000,000 miles a second, right? 1,000,000 times faster.
That's a very good analogy.
And here's another problem. They have no perception. Because at the end, humans bring our thoughts, our every word that I say, essentially, it's kind of like an LLM, but I'm not going to nerd out on that. But every word I say comes after my whole human experience of 42 years, right?
Who you became,
Yeah.
right? You are who you are.
Yeah. And so my identity and its interaction with the outside world is what perception essentially is. It's not just the outside world. It's not me. It's the interaction at the surface. In my opinion, that's what perception is, right?
Yes.
It's identity meeting the external. And in this case, there is no identity, right? And it's just all external, or it's just publishing external. So how does that change the world? I worry about that sometimes. It's like AI just writes all the history.
Yeah.
Or everything.
And then if
there's
we
no
don't
human touch
start
anymore.
doing that right now, it's already late, because a lot of content on internet is, available online is AI generated, and we don't know. It's just the enemy has breached. The Trojan horses have been offloaded.
So PodYar, again, that original question was around PodYar. How is PodYar
So yes, good question. So this a whole vault of information is like underlying fundamental need and crisis that we need to address. But the way I want to solve it is very, very, very simple, actually, like silly simple, which is, what if we could remove the friction of documenting human knowledge and sharing it, right? I asked you, everybody says time. I don't know how to structure it. What is the value, whatever. But what if it was so silly easy that I would ask you, why don't you use PodYar? You couldn't answer with any of those. And my idea is, what if a complementary to podcasting? Podcasts actually are one of the most incredible, valuable source of human knowledge, but we can't use it. We can't repurpose it because it's usually owned by the podcast host. There's no central place that you can go and dig. You say like Elon Musk, probably regardless of how we feel about him, is one of the people in the world that has been on the highest number of podcasts ever. If you go on Spotify and search for him, Elon Musk, you see a list of podcasts generally ordered based on the fame of the host and not Elon Musk himself. If you say Elon Musk and Tesla, you will have another list where Elon Musk was in a podcast and talked about Tesla, or somebody else on some other podcast talked about Elon Musk. And so you can't really dig deep. You can't really figure out how I can use this depth and ocean of information and valuable jewels of insight and everything. There is no repurposing it. And then also there's no continuity. Like, I listened to one of your podcasts, you have invited a super smart guest, and I'm like, oh, this person is incredible. I want to learn from them. If I go search them for other podcasts, they might have talked about something different. They might have talked about the same topic, but then again, 60-70% of it is overlap, because, if I go on the next podcast talking about PodYar, a lot of things I shared here, I will share. So there's no continuity. And then like now in PodYar, what if we would change the game slightly? What if the host is an AI and their job is to just have a conversation with you and help you share whatever you want to share, however you want to share it, whenever you want to share. You don't have to wait to be invited to a podcast. And then you can have your own profile that, excuse me, Sarah has like 10 episodes about this knowledge integrity crisis. I decide when to go, exactly what to record, and in what order, so you can go and listen. And 2 hours the content. And then I have like 7 episodes about snowboarding and why I like to snowboard in Europe versus US. And then 12 episodes about my travels and like, why do I travel like crazy that I do, right? And now we have one place that is Sarah in her whole authentic self, everything that she wants to document.
I think
then it is, all my effort was to have this conversation with AI. It asked me curious questions. And then it could define the future of the learning, because now you can go on that platform.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here. I can feel it. This is maybe 5, 10, 15 years off. The voice, your voice, is going to have its own, I'm air quoting right now, DNA. Anytime you log on and you type, there's going to be a marker. And it's going to identify it as you. And of course, the security, the cyber security people who are smarter than me, I'm very elementary at this, you will be contextualized. Right now, there's no context. You speak into something, you type into something, you record, whatever it is, it goes into it goes into one pot. And then something else comes out. Our conversation, if it was is being recorded right now, AI picks it up, it becomes one voice. However, I'm telling you, it's coming. It's going to be the DNA of the voice, and it will be contextualized in the future. And that's what I'm feeling you're kind of tapping in on, where how do we maintain the container, which is the individual, and distinguish it from what AI is listening to when it hears two containers.
And then repurposes it.
And then
makes
repurpose
a
it,
third,
and you- yeah.
third container, and thereby losing the original thought,
Yeah.
which was beautiful to begin
Yeah.
with because it came from a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian.
I mean,
Well, my question here is, I mean, we're getting really deep and we're going way down this rabbit hole, and
love it.
and I appreciate that. Which I mean, but at the same time, you know, as a content creator myself and somebody who works on this show and has a podcast, or the question I guess is as the consumer, how does any of this actually make it easier or more enriching to our lives as consumers? Because currently, if I want information, it's a very clumsy mechanism by which my desired information gets delivered to me, right? There are these clumsy algorithms that
Yes.
are truly antiquated at this point, right? Like Instagram's algorithm, in my opinion, as a consumer, is outdated.
Yes.
It's not delivering me what I want. It's just not. So does PodYar or have a
Brian,
method?
you always like literally jump on the best next step, and that is
closing it out.
exactly that. And that's what the part I was saying. This vault could be the future of education, because now Brian can go on there and say, I want to learn about investment, right? Venture fund. Who are the top people, top voices who have shared their expertise or stories on investment when it comes to, for example, like a small scale, whatever business that does this and that in this field. And this now the power of AI helps us search in this container without inserting or injecting any extra information to it. It just extracts it.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, oh, there's this Brian, and there's Brian Spark, and there's VJ, and these are the top voices talking about this. And I'm like, give me the 5 bullet points. What are the main things they talk about this? Oh, let me listen to VJ that when he's talking about this particular point. Or give me a presentation, give me a summary writing, mash them all up, give me 20 minutes podcast that I want to listen and learn. And that, then the opportunity is limitless. But as long as we have this human source of information and free of judgment at this point, I every time I have to, it's not about the truth. It's not about like what human says is true and AI is false. It's about what human says is human, right?
Yeah, that's
and,
good.
And then you can repurpose it and then change the trajectory of how knowledge is passed.
There's one thing I really liked about your idea in here that kind of got lost, which is I think the best role AI can play in society today and in the future is by helping humans be more human, right? Instead of taking over human, which I don't think it ever will. But
I'm sorry, VJ. You're probably going to explain that, and I started to talk. And what I was going to say is, what does that mean?
yeah. As in, like, here, Sarah's idea is allowing an AI to do the job of allowing the human to be retrospective about their day or about that event and kind of narrate their own story, their own chapter of their life. And that's what makes humans humans. Like, a good day is a day where you've had some time to retrospect, right? A bit. And we know that we can go down like why mental health is a big problem, blah, 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 and everything. But introspection is a really great part of the human journey, and we need to do it more. And in this way, I feel like AI is playing a really good role at helping humans be better humans. And that's, I think, what AI's role in society is, and that's what it will be. And all this fear around AI is going to take over and everything, I don't really believe in that, because as an engineer, I feel like I know its potential, but I also know its limits, and I know humans
I always say I'm very cautiously optimistic about AI. It could go, it could be very helpful and good, and it could go terribly, terribly wrong. As long as we keep our eyes open and we understand how we are utilizing it, there's hope for humanity.
Well, if the future is if the past is any indication of what the future is going to be, it'll be both wonderful and horrible simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, as we start to kind of close up, I definitely promised you all like one last question, and that's around, well, a couple questions. And I still want a quick answer on the marketing thing from you, Cynthia. So when I get to you, you can wrap that up, because I know I want to hear it. But VJ, I'll start with you. What's a win for you today, and how can people connect with you?
Yeah, You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best way. It might take me a month to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And one win, I think for the entrepreneurs out there, I truly believe in failing forward. That's been my journey. Success didn't come easy. And when it did come, it wasn't big enough for me, so I failed to celebrate it in a meaningful manner. So always find the small successes because it's a tough journey. Celebrate that, but continue down the path. And if you're savvy, you'll get better as an entrepreneur, and you'll get savvier, and you'll figure out a way to pay your bills. You'll figure out a way to appreciate life without the big paycheck. But you got to continue on the journey because you get better and better and better and better. And research says that the best entrepreneurs are those who are in their 40s and 50s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I've got a bunch of amens in here at that time. Okay.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. All right.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Keep fighting the good fight, and reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a chat to learn from your journey and nerd out on the spiritual aspect of entrepreneurship and share my 2 cents and see if I can help you on your mission.
I'm going to encourage people to call you, VJ, who are launching their journey and late at night feeling terrified, like it's never going to succeed and that there's no possible way that there's ever going to be hope. I say reach out to you because you sound like you've got some words of encouragement for them.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, the last thing I'm going to say there is, but don't keep doing the same thing that you're doing. The idea of failing forward is keep being... keep pivoting, keep making those micro and macro pivots.
And if I can tap back into what Sarah was saying earlier, there's something to learn from failing forward.
From anything, any experience in life.
Cynthia, I want 2 things from you. One, how can people connect with you?
Sure.
And then quickly answer that marketing question that I left hanging there for about a half hour.
I'll actually give you 3.
Okay, 3.
How you can connect with me, marketing, and then I
like to
want
win?
to tap into this.
You want to go failing backwards.
Well, serial entrepreneurship and keep doing it and the whole bit. So connect with me. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very prolific and very responsive. So Cynthia Abbott Kerr. I'm the only Cynthia Abbott Kerr on LinkedIn, running a company called WellPay. So
And with a cool voice.
with a cool voice, you can't miss it. For marketing, I have found that creating community has been a really powerful marketing tool. That bringing people together to have conversation. No one wants to be sold, and you had actually tapped into this, VJ. Like, tell me about yourself. What do you do? It can be a very stressful thing. That some of my best connections, best conversations, and most fruitful clients and partnerships have been through creating community. That it may be a second or third, level exposure connection that leads to something, but bringing people together and trying to be helpful, I think has been very important, because it's also part of bootstrapping. You have to be very mindful of your marketing dollars.
Yeah.
Right. Before you know it, you could spend $500,000 at 15 million conferences and 2,700 LinkedIn ads, and you're sitting there with.
And actually, that's why GTM is a startup thing. It's not a corporate thing. Go-to-market strategy means that how do we use our dollar very efficiently, and that's the plan. Anyhow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one?
Yeah. So as far as entrepreneurship and keep doing it and you'll get better, I think of it more as chapters. And I think we all have to be realistic that, you either pursue a corporate career or entrepreneurship or a little bit of both, that we all have people who rely on us. And nobody who's out in the world working is working just because of them. They're working because of the people and the families and the life that relies on us.
Fair.
And so if it takes a different chapter to take a pause or to get back into what you want to do it. Take care of your family, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If you have a skill set that's monetizable, monetize it. You're never going to get judgment from somebody who's doing more. Anyone who's being critical of you, or anyone who thinks, oh, that was the wrong path, or you shouldn't have done that, they're not out here trying to do any of the things you're trying to do.
Yeah. I love it. That's a good life lesson. Good thing to remember. Appreciate that. Sarah, how can people connect with you?
Well,
And a win.
Definitely LinkedIn. It's the easiest, Sara Zare. It's an easy name. I want to talk very briefly about three things. One, quick wrap up about ADHD. One is about PodYar, and one is about actually a part of my life we didn't even talk about, which is investment. About ADHD is one thing. When I was diagnosed about 7 years ago, by neuronormative brains, ADHD is labeled as a disability. And I was told, this is how your brain works and this is what it is. And when I was working with a therapist, at some point, I was just so frustrated. So what? Like, if it's disability, like, why do we work on this so much? What am I going to get? And he gave me like this really amazing thought that is like, Sarah, you are on the ocean, the waves keep hitting you, and you could, every time a wave hits you, you can go under, or you can learn to surf. And that's what we are doing. And that changed me. And then later I read this book called Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder by Peter Walker. And it put it into perspective that actually ADHD is a coping mechanism. Mm. And that completely changed my life, because now I could overcome all the side effects that were negatively affecting me in life, and then they turned into superpower. So anybody who is suffering from any of those symptoms, I highly recommend reading this book. About PodYar, the big win, and what I would like is, the next part of this plan is to build an AI that can understand the content in this world, and organizing and shape it without adding anything to it, of that AI generated content or changing the context. So I want to build that AI that is hyper focused on repurposing the existing content without manipulating it. So anybody who has expertise or thought on that, I would love to be in touch. And I'm also looking for super smart engineers to work together. And about investment is my what I believe the future of companies, startups, going to be is when founders build their own automation agents and automate their internal operations, and technically build their virtual workforce to run the operations. So if you're building your startup that way and you're building your own automation agents to run your business, reach out to me. To your point about community, I 100% agree. And I was supposed to start building that community about this, what I call 3 founder unicorns or entrepreneur 3.0. And PodYar got me distracted. So I really, really want to start that. And then you raised your hand. I would love to talk to you about it. Yeah. So these are the 3 topics I wanted to close with. And thank you so much for
All right.
me.
Well, I can't thank you all enough for being here. Loved having you. Brian, love you. Love it. We're going to play with that one a little bit more. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all here next week. Be safe. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.